I'm Lisa Saunders. Welcome to the Lisa Saunders Show. I have a guest that I've had on before because he's so much fun. John Valeri, book reviewer. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me back. It's been a while.
It has been a
thrilled to be
while,
here.
and I couldn't believe what you've been up to because you were a book reviewer for who? How did we meet?
I was working for Examiner.com. I had written the Hartford Books Examiner column for about 7 years.
And you've reviewed a lot of famous people. I was kind of impressed.
I know.
So you, Marcia Clark?
Marcia Clark.
Yeah. Others? Who else?
Oh, well, for reviews, Mary Higgins Clark, Wally Lamb, but I've gotten to interview most of those people too, which was great because I grew up admiring them, and then I had an excuse to, say, hey, you want to talk to me? And you write, it's very isolating, so people tend to like being able to talk about their books and themselves and their process when they've been holed up typing for months at a time.
Oh, that's so interesting. Now, you're no longer writing for the Book Examiner.
Right, Examiner.com. They went defunct in July, and I found out about it on Facebook because that's where you learn everything these days, right? And I said, oh, I need a new gig. So I launched my own website and blog, which is johnbvaleri.com. But I'm also independent contracting for a lot of different forums online, and I've also started to write for some physical magazines. So I've been doing reviews for The Strand, and actually I have my first author profile is coming out in the next issue of Mystery Scene magazine.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So you contacted these people, these magazine editors, and said,
this is what I've done.
This is okay.
And I would really like the opportunity to write for you if you feel that would be appropriate. And I've been lucky to get a really enthusiastic response to that because I'm used to people being like, him, no, except you keep inviting me back. But yeah, most people say, well, you have a lot of experience and you know a lot of people, so let's give it a go. So for Mystery Scene, it comes out probably next week after, but I got to interview Wendy Corsi-Staub, who she's amazing. She's written something like 90 books, and I've been reading her for a really, really long time, so it was kind of cool to be able to revisit her for my first sort of major magazine piece.
Now, you said The Strand. When I think of The Strand, I think of the Sherlock Holmes series. Who's The Strand?
They're big into that because there's the Strand bookstore in New York, but they also have a magazine that's very noir, which comes out a couple of times a year.
Where's that based out of?
New York.
Oh.
Yeah,
so this is not the London one where Arthur Conan Doyle
Well, the bookstores in New York, the magazine's a little bit more far-reaching, but there is definitely sort of that undercurrent to it. So, that's been fun. I've been reading sort of grittier things because I feel like that sort of goes with what they do.
What does grittier mean? Like, I always hear people say, the gritty side. I'm like, what does that mean? Dirty words? I mean,
oh yeah, dirty words, lots of violence, blood, gore, people doing terrible things.
Okay.
It's not your cozy mystery, that's for sure. But it's fun because I'm writing in a lot of different places, so I read a lot of different books, some of which take me out of my comfort zone. But I like that because that's how you discover new authors, new books, new genres.
Wow. So who do you decide who to review? Do they tell you or ask you? Or
a lot of people will come to me or send books to me. They just magically show up on my doorstep. It's a beautiful thing. I love it. The mailman hates me. The UPS guys hate me. FedEx hates me. But the books just show up, and sometimes, people will request something. Other times I'll pitch ideas based on what I'm interested in. Mm-hmm. So I do a little bit of both. I want to make sure that I still have fun with my reading. So I make sure that I still read the books that I would want to read just for leisure. But at the same point, I try to pick some books that are a little bit, outside of my norm because I think it's important to read widely.
So if you're writing for other magazines, you're not allowed to post those reviews on your website, are you?
I can link to them.
You can link to them.
So I link to them.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I was wondering how that worked.
Right. I don't use the actual content.
Right.
But I provide the link so that if people want to read it, they can just click and go to it.
Well, that's a really good idea because you found your area that you like, and you read stuff that I would never read, because I only really read nonfiction.
Right, and I tend to not read a lot of nonfiction.
Right. So, what are we going to talk about? But I'm excited to know that The Lost City of Z, that movie's coming out, and you said you hadn't read it.
No.
And that's that They're looking for a city that supposedly exists in the Amazon, and they're following Fawcett, I believe. And anyway, I can't wait because it's a nonfiction book that I'd read, so I do recommend that movie. Do you see movies, or are you mostly a reader?
You know, we try to go to the movies like once a week.
Okay, so do I.
Yeah, usually we go, on Sundays after 5 when the theater is dead. There's hardly anybody there. I love that. I hate it when people come in and like sit right behind you and they're chewing in your ear.
Oh, see, that doesn't bother me at all. It drives my husband crazy. But that's why I like to go to the movies. I want to experience the teenagers who are excited to sneak, to get away from their parents.
I just want to experience the popcorn.
Yeah, I always get the popcorn. And I'm so upset because I keep trying to go on a diet and they all say no popcorn, like if it's a low-carb diet.
It's true, but I've been dieting. It's killer.
I know, but you look like you've lost weight.
Sweet.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I swear, I can like sniff carbs and I gain weight from just being around them. So I just don't get the extra salt and butter when we go on Sunday.
So you still get your popcorn?
Yeah, I do.
So
I give myself weekly
treats.
treats. Oh, it's just moderation. I don't drink the vast amounts of coffee with cream and sugar that I was. I don't drink regular soda during the week. I don't snack. It's a lot of fruit, yogurt, stuff like that. But, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, pretty much anything goes because I got to have something to live for.
Oh, okay. Because I know as a writer, I sit a lot. Unfortunately, I walk the dog. That is my only exercise. But I do sit a lot and read a lot. Again, we read different things, but I just want to tell you one of my favorite stories. I don't know if you'd ever want to, I don't know when it was written actually, Desperate Journeys, Abandoned Souls. I love that book. It's all true adventure stories of people that were cast adrift or their plane crashed and they were wrecked in the middle of nowhere. So, and they're short stories. So if you really can't stand it because it's not fiction, it's really just a collection of short stories.
Oh, I like that because you can put it down and
yes,
revisit
you can. Do you read collections of short stories or mostly novels?
I read both. And I've actually, I think, gotten a little bit more into short stories recently because I've been writing more of them, and I enjoy it. I like to see the difference between a short piece of fiction and a long piece of fiction and what makes one work versus the other.
Now, are you writing? What are you writing on your own?
Well, on my own, I've just been working on a couple of short stories. I had a couple published last fall in a little local anthology, Tricks and Treats, which was sort of a scary stories of all Connecticut authors, but the kind of cool thing was it's contemporary authors, but also public domain is a beautiful thing. So I made my debut with Mark Twain and Harriet Beecher Stowe because they have these little ghost stories that most people have forgotten about. So those sort of fill out the book. So I had 2 stories in that. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm working on actually a continuation of one of those stories. I'm bringing back one of the characters, and she's sort of getting herself involved in research about the Kennedy assassination. So that's what I'm up to right now.
Would you call that, what do they call it? It's fiction, historical fiction? I mean, are you going to learn something about the Kennedy assassination, or is it just, okay.
Yeah, there's definitely some fact to it. It takes place right now. It takes place in contemporary times, but there's a couple flashback scenes to the 60s because that's just been one of those topics that's always kind of interested me. So it's just a fun way to get to talk about that a little bit in a fun, fresh way.
Did you see the movie Jackie?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So what did you think of that?
It was interesting. She was a really complex person, and I thought that it would be really hard to capture her essence, and I'm still not sure. I mean, I think that Natalie Portman probably did a really great job, but having never met Jackie, I don't know. It was a really interesting movie, and it took place at such a poignant time, and she was really a little bit out of her mind because of the grief that she was going through. So it was a very dark movie, but
I like that she wanted everybody to see the blood. I mean, I get that.
Yeah, look at what they did to. Look at what they did to him.
I kind of like the drama of
right? It was a high drama
on her outfit and everything. And I going to Newport, I saw where they got married, and I think it was on the tour or something. Summer home that she went to or lived in or grew up in. I love going to see all the places of the people I research. I didn't actually write about her, but for example, I was just in Washington, D.C., and I wrote about Lincoln a couple times, and Mary Todd Lincoln in a book after the loss of a spouse. I included her. What was she like? But I didn't realize in St. John's Church, a little church down there, that he had his pew and he would sneak in and sneak out. So I sat in his pew this weekend. At the American History Museum, I saw Nancy's dress. Because I remember seeing it, I mean, not Nancy, Mary's dress. I remember seeing it before because people make comments that she was chubby, but if you look at her dress, she wasn't. I just think she had a pudgy face. You know? So I think writers can make a mistake sometimes by looking at a picture and assuming something without knowing the facts, because I don't know, unless her corset was really tight, but it was like a waist like this.
Kill for that, right?
Yeah, right. Gotta maybe stop eating so much popcorn. You know, getting back to popcorn, I found out that's what some farmers give their cattle is instead of corn, they give them Skittles to give them that carbs.
Really?
Yeah, like
That's
Skittles that have like a mistake on them or something. And I'm thinking, am I eating when I sit there eating that huge bucket of popcorn, am I eating a huge bucket of Skittles? Is it like the same thing?
It's better not to know.
I know.
These are the things you don't want to research too thoroughly.
But anyway, are there any books that you wish would be movies, or that you saw recently that were a book you'd read first?
You know, actually, couple of years, actually probably last year, there was a movie that I saw called Paper Towns, which was based on a John Green young adult novel. And for one of the very few times in my life, I actually found that I liked the movie better than the book. I thought it had a better sense of place, a better sense of character, and I was really surprised by that just because I am usually cautious going into an adaptation.
Sometimes I like the movies better. Like with Anna Green Gables. Did you see it with Megan Fellows?
I have not.
Because I love those books, but I constantly, the birds are buzzing or tweeting, and the bees are buzzing, and the flowers. I can't stand all that. No. So
take all that out.
Yeah. So it was such a relief to see the movie with I could see them, but I don't have to read about the birds.
Right. Well, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I watched Sense and Sensibility, which I had not seen, but the one with Emma Thompson and Kate Winslet.
I think the movies are so much better than the writers.
Yeah, it was just, it was really interesting, and for a 2.5-hour movie, I was really engaged in it because one of my friends and I, we decided we were going to do this classics book club, so I'm not much for the classics. So I figured this would be a good way to force myself to read some of them. So she actually bought me a calendar for Christmas, and it has a different classic author every month. So we said, okay, we'll read one book by the featured author. So the first month we read Macbeth. And last month we said we were going to read Sense and Sensibility, and I really tried, but I couldn't get into
words.
it. Yes.
But you know what movie I love? Jane Austen's Persuasion. Oh my gosh. Have you seen it?
No.
You've got to see it. I think it was one of those, I think it was made for TV even, but it did better than they realized.
Yeah.
And I have the DVD, and now I can listen to the book on tape, because you can get free books on your iPhone. I forget what it's through. But anyway, I listen to Persuasion over and over, maybe because I've seen the movie, or maybe the wording is just right where it's not too much. But that's such an intense love story where you never know what he's thinking. Does he love her or not, So I really recommend that.
I'll have to check it out. I mean, the movie actually made me go back and sort of flip through the book after I'd said, oh, I'm never going to even bother.
Well, I felt that way about Wuthering Heights. I think the movie is so much better than the book. To me, the story is ridiculous in the book. But Jane Eyre, I have to say, even though I'm not a fiction reader, I have to say Jane Eyre was fabulous. Did you ever read that?
No.
Well, I mean,
but
maybe
I should.
I don't know. Maybe it's a girl book, but I don't know. I don't know that it's a girl book.
I've been told I read a lot of girl books.
But for me, I just thought it was fabulous. So that is one I can recommend.
All right, you'll have to ask me next time I'm here.
Now, one book I read that I love, and I've read it 3 times now, Jack Finney's Time and Again. Have you read it?
I have not.
It's time travel, but the reason I can read it even though it's fiction is because it really reads like a true story. Like I actually think it's possible when I'm reading this to time travel. So I even try some of the things that they do because it's kind of like self-hypnosis.
Sure.
He has to bury himself in the time period that he wanted to go in. It's a government project. Anyway, I'm excited because supposedly it's going to come out someday as a movie, and that should be a movie, and you should read it. So that is a fiction book that I do recommend.
I will have to read it.
But the author's dead, so he's not going to be one to pester you. And he wrote The Body Snatchers as well.
Oh,
Jack
interesting.
Finney, yeah. And so my husband had to be off for a while because he had an eye injury, and so this is the first, and he had to be blindfolded for a week, and a long story. So I got some audio books, and we listened to Time and Again, and he got really into it. So it's just fun because he couldn't see a thing,
right.
And we just sat there together time traveling. And,
sure.
And I'm like, Jim, because when the book ended, I said, let's try it for real. And he's like, well, that's fiction. You got really worried
I'm
about
sorry he
me.
broke that to you. It's nice to believe, though, you know?
Well, I keep thinking, because I am gonna, we're talking about movies. Some of my books I decided I'm gonna turn into a screenplay, and I'm starting to, because I was approached to write a screenplay with somebody to co-author it. And it was kind of about, I don't want to give it away, but it was on a genre I'm just not comfortable with. It's nothing I would write or research. So I hate to turn down a paying gig,
Right.
but I said, it's not me. But if you want to maybe co-author one of my stories as a screenplay. So have you delved into that at all?
You know, I've been really intrigued by the idea because I think it's such a different way of telling a story. I mean, it's very dialogue and action driven, a lot of direction, but very sparse. I think it would be great. I haven't done anything in that vein probably since school, when they had us write plays and things like that. But a lot of times when I write my fiction, I tend to visualize it in short scenes. And so sometimes in my writing, I've been told, oh, it has a really cinematic vibe to it. And I say, oh, yay, because that's sort of what I was going for. Like one of the stories that I wrote for that collection I was telling you about was sort of an homage to Scream, which is a pretty famous scary movie.
Okay,
And when I was a kid, I didn't like anything scary. I mean, I was afraid of my own shadow, your shadow, anybody's shadow. But I saw that movie, it changed my world. And the thing that spoke to me about it was, for a horror movie, it had really complex characters and a really well thought out, clever plot, but also, snappy dialogue, quick scenes. And so when I wrote that story, my intent was to try to capture that. And when I had some readers take a look at it, some of their feedback was it does sort of feel almost like a script. I don't know if you're going for that or not, but think about that. And I said, actually, yeah, that was what I was intending to do. And a couple of reviewers read it, and they liked that about it. They said it had that vibe. So I felt like that I had captured something with that. So I think it would be fun.
So you're going to try it?
Yeah, I think it would be.
And so then what are you going to do with it? Do you know where to take it? Or
I
how to
have
get
no idea.
I think you're supposed to get an agent.
Agent helps. They tell you not to do anything unagented these days.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. Well, I think, again, it comes down to, who you know and who you can ask for favors. And I guess I'm lucky I do know a lot of people. But I think I would, if I felt that I had something that was of quality, I would try to get an agent.
Yeah, I want to dig into that further. Because I wrote my Reader's Theater based on my Civil War love letters. I wrote it like love letters. Did you ever see that play?
No.
But that wouldn't really be fun on the screen. It's just people reading back and forth, and it works in a play kind of thing. Anyway, I have to think about all this and figure it out. I'm sure there's a book I can get that tells me how to write a screenplay.
Oh, there are plenty of those.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We read books about writing instead of actually writing.
Well, my favorite book on how to be a writer was Stephen King wrote one.
Oh, it's great.
Did you? Oh, you
on
read
writing?
it?
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I think we actually talked about it before. Because he's the one who, I think he yelled at me about, in my mind, he was yelling at me about.
I was going to say, what? You know him?
Because I don't know, because I think he said it's just always best to say he said, she said, instead of she angrily said, or whatever. I can't remember. He told me a few things that I thought, well, that's good, simple advice. So it's just called On Writing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked that one a lot because I prefer his nonfiction to his fiction. But I liked it because it was a craft book, but it also was sort of memoir, and I really enjoyed that. And if you enjoyed that, I would highly recommend. I don't know if you've read Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic, which came out a couple of years ago. But if you read that book, I can promise you'll never think of inspiration or craft the same way again. And if you listen to the audio, it's even better. It's called Big Magic.
Okay.
And again, it's another one of those books where it's sort of
By
a how-to. Elizabeth Gilbert, who she wrote Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh, okay.
And that, I was not really a fan of that book, but this one really spoke to me, so I've been,
And that's just like a how-to from her or her?
Yeah, it's sort of meditations on inspiration and craft, but unlike anything else I've ever read, I liked the book so much that I got it on audio, and she reads the audio, and it's sort of like having a little cheerleader right there in your ear. So yeah, when I'm feeling like I need, some inspiration or the muse, I listen to it again. I enjoy it that much.
Now, how do you do so much writing and reviewing?
I don't sleep a lot.
And you sit a lot, that means.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like the yo-yo. You never know which size of me you're gonna get when I show up.
No,
From
I know,
month to
because I
month.
sit a lot too, and I actually wanted to try Peapod today, you know, that grocery
yeah.
online thing.
Yes.
And I thought, I am so out of groceries, because when my husband was ill, I couldn't even leave the house because he needed
Right.
constant, you know, I just couldn't let him be alone in case something happened. But so that would have been the time for me to order groceries on Peapod, but I didn't know how to do it. And today I sat down to look at it, and it doesn't actually look that hard, but I thought, I don't want to sit at the computer another
Right.
minute. So I just spent $300 at the grocery store walking around. But
Right.
I think, I don't know how we got on that, but because we're at the computer so much, do we want to sit there and grocery shop from
I know,
it?
it's very sedentary. That's like our big outing now. I mean, I've been
Right,
doing
I
a lot
like
of
the
caretaking
outing.
as well.
Right.
So that's the thing that's been getting me up and moving is my mom has therapy appointments pretty much every day of the week, so we have to get up and go. We do our grocery shopping, and that's actually really good therapy for her because she can push the cart,
Right.
and it makes me get up and move too. So that's sort of the counterbalance to all the sitting there that I do typing or the
Right.
lying in bed with my book. But yeah, I do a lot of work either late at night or early in the morning or
Do you
just those.
so is that where you like to read in bed?
Yeah, that's my favorite place to read. I'm lucky. I'm one of those people who, can actually make it through several chapters before falling asleep. I know some people pick up a book and a page later they're down for the count.
Right.
But that doesn't tend to be me. I can usually get in a good 45 minutes or more when I start.
I'm listening to Endurance Again about Shackleton's disastrous adventure in the Antarctic. Anyway, I just love being warm in my bed.
Yeah, there's that too.
when I'm-
Pull up the cover.
When I'm listening, because I either do it on tape or read it, when I'm listening to these, because like I said, I love adventure stories where people are suffering and they're cold in the North Pole or the South Pole, and I'm so toasty warm, and my dog is at my feet keeping me warm. I'm definitely an armchair adventurist, I guess.
Well, it's nice to know that you're not actually in that situation. Like you
I
are
know.
in your head, but your body is somewhere comfortable.
It's very
which helps. Especially on rainy days like today. Oh.
Oh, I know. I can't tell you how it was so hard to come out and do the show on a rainy day because I thought, gee, I could get in bed and
I know, and read.
Wow, I'm impressed that you decided to really devote yourself to writing. Because right now you're in that position.
Well, I figured, I'd worked at a nonprofit for 10 years, and it's really easy to make decisions based on everybody else's benefit and what's best for them. But at one point or another, you have to say to yourself, is this what I really want to do? And if I do, how am I going to make it work? So yeah, I mean, it was taking, a chance on myself, and then life sort of threw me a curveball too. I didn't anticipate being home, being a caretaker, but I'd already put in my resignation, as I was telling you, so I was going to be home, which made that an easier transition, and I'm fortunate too to have a very supportive wife, Chelsea, thank you, who agreed that this is something that you want to do, and you seem to be sort of kind of maybe talented, so try.
Well, this is how William Gillette really got started, because he was taking care of his father. He was the Sherlock Holmes. He brought Sherlock Holmes to the stage,
Right.
And he wrote plays, of Gillette's Castle. And his father was a senator, and he was sick, taking care of him, and he sat there and wrote. So
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of people, when you are forced to do nothing else, you can really come out with some work that can change your life.
No, it's true. It was sort of like a weird divine intervention. I mean, I'm not happy that things happened the way that they did, but it all worked out. And, I think that somewhere there's a plan. There's some cosmic plan, and it's okay because, I know that I can do caretaking pretty well because that was sort of a big component of my job prior. So it's like it was all training for this, and now it's just balancing. I throw a bunch of balls in the air and try not to drop them.
So when do you try to give me a picture of your day then?
Sure.
Because you're taking care of your mom, so, just when do you get up to write, or when?
Well, my wife is usually up at 7, so if there's something I really need to get done, like lately I've had a lot of deadlines for reviews or for profile pieces. If my mom's therapy is later in the morning or early afternoon, I can try to get in a few hours before I wake her up. Or, once therapy and stuff is done for the day and we've done our work at home, because, there's a lot of work to be done at home too. Everything carries over. But usually, by nighttime, mom's settled in doing something fun, and then I can, work on my work until it's time to do the sort of nightly routine. So it's early morning, later at night, or just those few minutes in between when you find a pocket of time. It's really just the balancing act. You know how it is.
Well, I tend to do my serious writing in the morning, probably from like 5 a.m. to noon, I would say, is like where I'm really trying to concentrate. And my husband even knows, he doesn't even say good morning to me because that could suck me out of my zone.
Sure.
You know, so when I'm at a good, I know he's up, I can hear the rustling. So
Right.
when he's up, I will, when I'm at a good stopping point, I come out. But he gets it that I have to concentrate. And I feel it's always hard because when we have guests, they feel rude if they walk by my office and don't say hi. But I need to put up a sign. Please don't even say hi.
Oh, I know, because then that's broken and you're out of the
me
zone,
out.
and it's so hard to get into the zone.
I know, that's why I kind of laugh in that movie. What is it? As Good as It Gets, with who's that crazy guy? I don't know, famous guy. I can't think of him, but he came out screaming because they knocked on his door. Where's my dog? And he's like,
Oh, Jack Nick.
Yeah. So you don't interrupt me when I'm writing. I don't care if you hear a thud and it smells come from the apartment. You have to put a hanky.
No, the magic's gone.
Right?
You can't recapture it like that. It doesn't happen.
No.
Or the other thing that happens is you're in bed at night and all you want to do is sleep because you've had a crazy day, and that's when the inspiration strikes you, and then you end up getting up and writing until 4 in the morning.
I know. Then you have to get up. I know. Well, that's why I get up so early, because then I can't sleep because I have an idea, and I try not to have ideas in the middle of the night.
I know.
But
and then they come knocking.
I know, but then at like 2 in the morning you might get one. So but I haven't written a large piece in a while. So if I start the screenplay, it could happen. Like my story's already told for the ones that I want to do screenplays on. So I don't know if the idea thing is going to torture me, because my ideas are out there. It's just
Maybe
a matter
not.
of,
It's just telling it in a different way.
It's just telling it in a different way. So I'll have to see. I'll let you know.
I know.
Well, who's going to start the screenplay first, you or me?
It's your book. I think you have to. It's your book. I don't know.
I don't know, but you said you're going to start one on your story.
Maybe, or something. I just think it would be fun to try something different.
I was thinking of taking a screenwriting class. There is one through the town of Groton, just to force me to do something, because I keep talking about it and not doing it.
Right.
We only have 2 minutes left, so I'm going to tell you about some classes I have coming up. In case you know of people, I'm doing a writing your memoir type of class, just writing your story. And that's just a one workshop class on Tuesday, April 18th, through New London Adult Continuing Education. And then the following week, Tuesday on April 25th, from 2:30 to 5:30, it's a self-publish and promote your paperback kind of story for some people that don't want to go through a publisher.
Sure.
So if you know people in that realm.
Oh yeah, I'll spread the word. I should be in your memoir class.
We do exercises. It's fun because I actually have questions, and I make people sit there and write the answers to it. And that's when the ideas get going, because they're under no pressure. Nobody's going to read it.
Right.
But you read. I do ask them to read it out loud.
Sure.
And so then people just write when they're not. That's, I think, people's problems, new writers especially. They think that somebody's going to read that first draft, you know?
I know, all writing is rewriting, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I know, that's the painful part is, I'm not done, I have to...
And sometimes you just have to start at a point you never expected to start at. Like, that's how I started Ride a Horse, Not an Elevator. I didn't know where to start it. And suddenly I just started with a scene that stuck with me. And then, that scene is in the middle of the book, but it got me going in the flow and the conversation and the characters. But anyway, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
It was so great to have
always
you. I know, it's fun. So you have to think of other ideas. You can come back on my show.
I would love to.
All right, well, thank you so much for watching the Lisa Saunders Show. I'm Lisa Saunders, and I will see you next week.